everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here to talk about a very exciting topic, and that is the power of first impression. That's right. We all know how supremely essential first impression is, whether it's your professional life, you want to get that dream job, whether it's your personal life, whether you want to go on your first date and impress someone. It's very, very essential to put out a right impression on the other person so that the person actually ends up hiring you after an interview or maybe meeting you another time. So today I'll be sharing you a couple of tips and tricks of how to have the right first impression and maybe end up landing up your dream job. Okay, so let's get started. It's really very essential to set up a memorable first impression, and this has got to do a lot with your non-verbal communication as well. I mean, it's a blend of your both verbal and non-verbal communication. Now, because it's your first impression, you really don't have time to talk a lot, so a lot of it depends on your body language as well, right? So first impression formula is basically very simple. So it's first impression means it's the first 20 seconds. Like if I'm gonna meet you for the first time, it's the first 20 seconds I decide whether I like you or I dislike you, whether I want to hire you or maybe I do not want to hire you. That's absolutely right, because a lot of HRs and a lot of survey has been done on this, and most of them agree to the fact that it's the first 20 seconds which decide whether you would want to go ahead with a person or not, because your first impression or that first behavior of yours, which includes both your verbal and non-verbal, is something which actually creates an impact on the other person. So it's very, very essential to really ace it in the first 20 seconds of your interview, right? So that includes what generally happens in the first 20 seconds. Like, it's your handshake, right? So it's the way you greet, so that has to be really good. And it also includes your eye contact. So whenever you're talking to the interviewer, make sure you have the right eye contact. Always have eye contact. Like, don't look here and there and give your answers, or don't look down. That's like the worst thing you can do. So don't ever do that. And always have eye contact, always have a good handshake. I think that's what happens the first 20 seconds, and make sure you do these things right? And I'm sure, like, before an interview, like, all of y'all have your own pitch preparations. You like ready with the questions the interviewer is going to ask, and you're ready with your answers. But that's just a part of it. Okay, you have to, if you are bad with your body language, you're bad with your first impression, and then you have your set of answers ready, that's not going to help you. You still end up not getting that job. So make sure that you have everything. Okay, you should know exactly how you come across. So, like, if I'm talking to somebody else, I should be aware about how I'm coming across, right? So that can be both ways. So either you can come across as somebody who's confident and somebody who's engaging, or somebody, maybe you're coming across somebody who's anxious or somebody who's boring, right? It all depends on how you speak. Okay, so if I'm speaking with a lot of interaction, that shows that I'm confident, that shows that I'm engaging. But if you're like just giving a yes or no answer, even if it's a direct question and you're not like really elaborating, that shows that you're boring, right? You're coming across as a boring person to the other person. You're not interesting. So make sure that you come across as a confident person, as somebody who's very engaging, not somebody who's nervous, who's fidgety. No, you don't have to come across as somebody, even if you're a little scared, but don't, make sure that your body language doesn't show that. Make sure your body language doesn't show that you're anxious about what's happening, like about the interview, that you're worried or have some fear about it. So make sure that you're very, very confident in the interview or while you come and meet the person for the first time, right? So next, talking about non-verbal power, like, that is, I can't tell you how essential, how supremely important non-verbal communication is. The way you sit, it's the way you smile, it's the way you have eye contact. So that's very, very essential, and it's very important to have the right posture. Yeah, don't shrunk your shoulders. It can't be like this. It has to be straight, and your torso, your toes, everything has to point towards the direction of the interviewer. So if he's sitting there, you just have to sit straight and point towards the direction of the interviewer. You can't just cross your legs and point your toe to the other direction and then talk to someone. So that's not how it works. Okay, it has to be a fronting way of putting yourself across, and it has to be that you should always, your body has to point towards the direction of the interviewer, so that it shows that you are in an engaging conversation, you are ready to listen to the other person, and it shows that you're focusing on the discussion, right? You're really interested in talking to the other person. And when I talk about handshake, it has to be a perfect handshake. It has to be, not, when I say perfect, it doesn't have to be like really really strong, or doesn't have to be very very difficult. It's, whenever you shake hand with another person, it's basically depends, just reciprocate the way the other person is doing, right? So it always has to be palm to palm. Yeah. And if the person is giving you a strong handshake, make it strong. If it's a soft one, make it soft, like just like how the other person wants it, right? It has to be like that. And never have wet hands, always have dry hands. So if you're just out of the washroom and you're meeting your boss and you're like, oh, I want to shake your hand, and then you go for a handshake, and then disaster, it's a complete disaster. Don't ever do that. Always have dry hands. And yeah, always have a nice firm palm to palm handshake. Okay. And talking about vocal power, you definitely have to have a good, strong motive way of communication. I mean, you need to be confident. I think confidence is the key. If you're confident, everything else falls in place. I mean, even if you do not know something, I mean, there's been situations when I don't know something, but then I've been confident and I've been able to ace that interview. So it's all about how confident you are, especially these days because of the pandemic. There's a lot of phone interviews which go on, and it's very very essential for you to have the right tone, have the right way of communicating, because over the phone it's your confidence, it's your voice which the other person hears, and it's very essential to be confident when you talk to the other person. Don't have a shaky voice, or even if people judge your moods during a conversation. So when somebody is talking to me, I can know if that person is excited to talk to me, or I can know if the person is really has been dealing with a bad mood and then talking to me, or happy, like excited, smiling. I can sense it. So it's very very important to have a strong vocal power, right? verbal power is Vocal power is important, and verbal power is equally important. Always, whenever you're talking to a person, your opening line has to be the best. Like, it doesn't have to be something very fancy. It's very very simple. Like, the most simplest things are the best, right? So make sure that your opening line is very very simple. Most often we have direct openers, like when you're especially going for an interview and you're entering a room, you just start with a direct opener that can be like, my name is Samana, nice to meet you. So that's like a direct opener. Okay, my name is Samana, pleased to meet you. So that's a very very direct way of opening a conversation, right? So these are direct openers. Yeah. So then there are places like maybe you're in a new place, in a new company, you have like a team, you don't know the people, so you that time you have like transparent openers, like you want to like really get into a team of people you don't know, and you want to like start a conversation, and then you can be like, hey, my name is Samana. I think you guys are having an interesting conversation. May I join you? So that's like, you and that person, that's a nice way of communicating, because that way you're showing that you're interested in what the discussion the other table is having, and then you want to join them. You want to feel that you want to be a part of it, so that makes them feel good as well. At the same time, it shows that you're interested in talking to the other person, or interested in having a chat with the group of people in the other table. So that's a very nice way of having a transparent opener, like when you don't know something and you just want to have a conversation. So that's nice. The others are like, you have curious openers. So sometimes when you want to have a conversation, and then you just don't be like, hi, how are you, that does not work. So if So if I want to talk to someone, and it's maybe a team outing or a team event, or I'll be like, oh, have you been here before? Or maybe if that person's drinking something, I'll be like, oh, that looks like an interesting drink. What have you been drinking? So that's a nice way of starting a conversation. That person will be like, yeah, this is martini, and and then you can talk about everything else happening around. So that's a nice way of starting a conversation rather than the usual stuff like what's your name, what's happening. I mean, all of that jazz. That can come later, but this is a nice way of creating a first impression, or just starting a conversation. Like, talk about something what the person is doing or you think the group's enjoying, and then slowly blend in and then get to know what's happening. Okay, so it's very, very important to have better communication. I mean, don't follow social scripts. Okay, that's the most boring thing which can happen. I mean, what's social script? That's like, hey, hi, how are you? And I'm fine, thank you. So it's boring. It's a normal thing, right? I mean, hi, how are you? It's just normal. So it's like a script, like someone's taught you right from school. There's a conditioning saying that, okay, when you meet someone, just say how are you. I mean, that's how the conversation happens. But you don't have to follow that way. It gets boring. So it's the trap. You say hi, you say how are you, and then that's it. End of the conversation, and then you're like, let's go our ways. So you don't want to do that, right? You want to have like the right first impression. So it's very, very important to actually talk something which is interesting or which triggers excitement. You can say, like, whenever you're talking to someone, you're like, hey, what's up? How have you been today? How was your day? I mean, you can just get in, like, you don't have to ask how are you. You can like, how was your day? How's your day going? Like, are you planning a vacation? What are your plans for the summer break? So you can make conversations like that. Yeah, so that's kind of different. So when you're saying about vacations, you take the topic to another level. That you can have a conversation on that topic. You can say like, hey, what's up? Anything good happened today? How's your day going? So stuff like that. So when you say anything good happened today, so you can know whether something new, something interesting happened. So always when you have a conversation, build it on a positive note. Like, have you been traveling? Have you been traveling lately? Or what are your travel plans for the summer? Stuff like that. So it's very, very important to have conversations on a positive note. Whenever you're talking to someone, don't get negative. Don't be like, oh, the weather's so bad. Yeah, it sucks. No, that's not how you do it. Even if the weather sucks, you don't start a conversation on a negative note, because if you do that, it probably doesn't create the right first impression. Yeah, so these are some few tips and tricks, I would say, of dealing with another person, giving out the right first impression. And I'm sure it's gonna really, really help you be different from the lot, and get your chances in being a person, coming across as a person who's great at conversations, coming across as a person who is confident, who is smart, and who can, really, really drive conversations. And it is definitely 200% going to help you in your interviews. And yeah, so a combination of verbal, non-verbal communication, just blend in both, and it creates wonders, right? So that's all for today. Thank you for watching my video, and I will come with more such videos. Okay, until then, take care. Bye bye.